Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm Scream, and welcome back to another day in Destiny 2 for some more Destiny 2 news and the final days before Lightfall actually releases. Now, in my previous video, I did discuss how this week, coincidentally being the last week of the year, is actually one of the best weeks to farm out endgame mats and loot this season. Now, the reason for this being that the reward from this week's Nightfall is the Wendigo, which is going to be the super meta heavy grenade launcher heading into Lightfall, but also it is available through the Warden of Nothing strike, which is definitely one of the quickest, easiest strikes currently in the Nightfall rotation. Now, if you can farm this at the Grandmaster level, that is by far the best farm. You're just going to get so many mats, you're going to get at least 2 rolls on your Wendigo, or at least I've gotten up to 2 rolls, even though it's not a double loot week. But also, even if you're a solo player and you can't do this at the Grandmaster difficulty, as a solo player that can be tough, even in an easy strike such as this, to do this at the Master or Legend difficulty is still a super efficient farm for solo players. If you're a really good solo player, I would actually say this is one of the few Grandmasters that is very doable solo, even for people who maybe haven't attempted a solo GM before. Now, I did want to go through a few specific glitches and cheeses that you can use in this strike for solo players in order to get all those endgame mats like Ascendant Shards or Enhancement Prisms, or get your hand on the God Roll of the Wendigo Adept Heavy Grenade Launcher. And I did want to just take you quickly through what that roll is. Now, as you can see here, the top roll is Explosive Light, Auto-Loading Holster, Proximity Grenades, and the Countermass. I don't really think the scope is really going to be that big of a deal. I think the things that you're looking for the most are the auto-loading holster and the explosive light. I was able to get a few of these. I think spike grenades seem to be also one of the things that people want. If you're curious about what popular roles there are for a specific weapon, or what role you want to farm for, I would definitely suggest heading over to Light GG. They have all of these things in their database. It's where I go if I want to look anything up. I'm going to leave a link to the website down below, but this is just a brief overview. Now, I did want to get back into one specific area, which is the bombs area. Now, for some reason, this part, though it's easy for me, seems to be one of the problems for most solo players, or at least one of the places where they're running into the most trouble. I've even seen a lot of teams run into trouble here. And for me and my fire team, we just found a very proficient way of doing it. Shout out to Ducky, because he was the first person to show me this particular route. And it actually makes this place probably one of the easier areas, or at least the bomb part of this particular place, even a little bit easier than the boss sometimes. So the way we do it, and the way a solo player could potentially do it, is instead of going to bomb A and just sitting on it and waiting for it as the ads spawn in, don't do that. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you kill those 2 champions that spawn near bomb A. There is a barrier champion, I believe it's a hobgoblin barrier champion, that will spawn right by the door to the right of bomb A, or excuse me, to the left of bomb A if you're looking out at the entrance. So if you're sitting on bomb A and you're looking at the entrance to where you came in, it would be to your left. If you're moving towards bomb A, it'll be on your right. That is the choke point, meaning if you can get that champion down, you're going to have a lot more time in order to go to bomb A and then bomb B. And it also clears out bomb B and most of those ads. There is another unstoppable champion that spawns in the door just opposite of where that hobgoblin comes out. That one you also want to take out. Pretty easy if you throw a well down. I think if you're a solo player and you're using well, that is going to be the number one place that you want to throw that well. That or the last bomb. Now, once you've cleared out all those champions, Bomb A is going to be pretty free, and Bomb B is going to be super free. So if we're doing this in a fire team, or maybe with 2 people, I would suggest have you and your teammates take out those champions first, and then have them go to Bomb A, while the solo player, me in this case, goes to Bomb B. And I really only have to kill this 1 yellow bar enemy at that point, and the 2 red bars that are sort of to my left. Just 2 basic adds. Not very difficult. If you throw down a healing rift, you should be able to take them out easily enough. And though I haven't tested it, it's probably easy enough to actually take out those first 2 champions without actually using a well. So if you are a solo player, it would allow you to use that well for the final bomb. Now, another glitch that you can use for this section in order to help extend the time, and I don't know if this would really help as a solo player, as you still need to take out all the adds, and you're going to have to be very sedentary, which is not, I think, the choice strategy for this particular spot, is that you can stand directly outside of the bomb ring. So that's the area that you need to stand within in order to defuse the bombs. If you stand just on the edge of it, in specific places, it actually causes the bombs to glitch out and they won't count down. So if you need to extend a timer in order to maybe take out some ads or just give yourself a little bit more time, you can do this just by standing on the rim of where the bomb plates actually are. So benefits to that: 1, you get a lot more time, but the negative is that you have to stand in the exact same spot. If you move, the countdown will start. Again, I don't know how that's going to be that helpful to solo players, though it can help in a group, I suppose. But the thing about it is that for me and my teammates, we never needed any more time. Actually, time was one of the things we had plenty of. The things that we didn't have were always supers. Sometimes ads would spawn in weird places. But using this strategy, I don't think you're going to need any more time. You're not going to need to extend the bombs because it's just going to be easy. This whole portion of this particular strike is going to be fairly quick. In fact, I think the best time we ever did this in was, a matter of maybe 3 minutes. We were completely cleared of this whole area. Now, I want to go quickly more to the boss, because the boss has, it has a benefit and it has a negative. The negative is that it does a lot of damage, and there's a ton of champions in the actual boss area as you come into the boss area, but also it spawns more enemies and 2 big yellow bars. They're not champions, they're just like mini bosses if you're in this whole boss arena too long. So most people will go for the boss melt, as you see us doing in the majority of these clips. The boss melt is super simple. Make sure that you have a well of radiance. That's going to be the big thing. If you are a solo player, it's a must, because you're still getting that 40% damage boost from being in your own well of radiance. If you have 2 warlocks or 3, make sure that you're all in your own wells. It just makes the thing go a lot quicker. You won't need to be at that point if you have the right weapons, but it does make it go quite a bit faster because all of you are getting a 40% damage bump at that point versus just one person and everybody else getting a 10%. Make sure you have a grenade launcher that can shoot 2 rockets, so you can have 2 rockets in the mag. That's really helpful. Gallahorn, if you don't have anything else, is a go-to. I was using it for the majority of these runs. I don't think I used any other rocket launcher, but rocket launchers are definitely a must-have. Using Starfire Protocol, if you're a solo player, is also a must, because if you're sitting in your own well of radiance, so long as you're doing damage with your weapon to an enemy, you're going to have those fusion grenades. You want to be able to spam those as many times as you possibly can. So rocket, fusion grenade, rocket, fusion grenade, reload the rocket, another fusion grenade, 2 rockets. That is basically all you need to do if you're running this in a team, and the boss should be dead. If you're as a solo player or doing solo damage like you see here, it might take a few more, but even when the boss teleports, you can still stay in your well and keep fairly protected. You're going to have fairly good health in that well because the boss isn't going to do direct damage to you early on in the fight. I do want to keep people a little cautious about this particular boss melt, because we have had a couple of glitches, as you can see in this particular clip, or bugs you would call them, where we melted the boss and we didn't get any of the actual loot. Nothing dropped. So that is a full wipe. I don't know any way of actually getting this to reset. Resetting the encounter doesn't seem to work. You have to actually, I think, wipe your fire team in order to potentially load back into this area. That'll work on Master. If you get this bug on anything other than the GM, all you have to do is wipe yourself, and you should be able to repeat the whole champion section right before the boss and still get your loot. But if you are doing this on the GM, obviously you're going to wipe yourself, and that's to orbit, so you're not going to get your loot. So this is a very unfortunate bug to have happen, obviously, because it's also just at the boss. You're so close to getting the things you want, but you're not going to be able to get it. I do think if you can get this to work on the master level, there has been ways that I've seen in the past where this bug actually allows you to farm the boss over and over and over again if you get the bug and you reset and you kill the boss again. There's been times where for some reason the bug carries over, but the loot actually drops, so you can then just kill yourself over and over again and continually farm out the boss. But I've seen that happen before. I haven't seen it happen this season, so just take that with a grain of salt. Now, if you're a solo player and you cannot get a boss melt on the GM, it's possible you're going to have to put out quite a bit of damage, so you're going to need everything to boost your damage as possible. I think high energy fire is another thing that might actually help. But if you can't get that boss melt to work, maybe you can do 75% of the boss damage, and now you're out of your well, the ads are spawning in, and the boss is pretty close to being done, but not completely. This is the spot that you want to go. Outside the map, on the left side of the room as you enter, you can stand on the roof, you can stand here. If you're a solo player, the boss is going to immediately come over to this side, and you can just shoot directly down at them and finish them off. You don't have to worry about any of the ads. This is a good strategy for anybody who's massively underleveled, perhaps, and isn't doing GMs normally, just doing the master. But I really suggest this more for just solo players who can't get the boss melt to work, and they need a place to just hold out so that they can do a little bit more damage to the boss without having to deal with all the ads and the boss damage. It's one of the easiest places to kill the boss from. If you're doing it in a group, you can obviously come here as well, though most people won't, just because the boss melt is pretty efficient. It's great when you have a boss that doesn't have phases, right? Personally, I think the Warden of Nothing is what a GM in Destiny should be. A very hard strike leading up to a very easy boss if you know what you're doing. And that's going to be it for all the information in today's video. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. I know this is a little bit of a recap of some of the stuff I discussed in my last video, but I wanted to go into a little bit more in-depth just on when to use what and for who. So this is primarily for solo players specifically, not just teams trying to complete this particular strike or farm out an adept version of the Wendigo. So if you are a solo player out there and this does help you get an adept version of the Wendigo, please let me know about it in the comments section down below. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you never miss out on any future Destiny content like this. Remember, everything I just mentioned also enters you into any future giveaways on this YouTube channel. And I do want every 1,000 subscribers. We're very close to 66,000, so you never want to miss out. We're doing a Lightfall giveaway. Of course, what's better than a free version of Lightfall right before it actually launches? And if you've watched this far, please leave a hashtag Warden of Nothing or a hashtag Lightfall in the comments section down below. Give you another entry into the next giveaway for this video. Of course, that secret hashtag stacks between all videos, so if you haven't done that in a previous piece of content on this channel, you can always go back, check out another video, and of course, do it again. And once more, I am Wilhelm Scream. We will see you next time, hopefully in Lightfall, if not slightly before then.